Good Devach, everybody. So I'll tell you, Maisa, Tzadikim look like they're operating in the same plane as we are. They walk through a doorway. They breathe air like we do. But the truth is, Tzadikim and Tzidkanias, they're operating in a different space altogether. So I'll tell you, Maisa, about that. Everyone's heard of the Tzaddik Mendel Rivenover. So before he became a Rebbe in his own right, when he was younger, he was a chassid. He spent some time by the Rebbe Melech, by the name of Melech of Lezhensk. So the Maisa goes that Mendel Rivenover was by the Tish of the Rebbe Melech one Friday night, and it's him and many, many chassidim, and they're there, and it's up to the soup. That's what they're up to, the time of the soup. So the waiter comes out with a tray of soup, and he takes a bowl, the waiter, of chicken soup, and puts it by the Rebbe, by the Rebbe Melech. Rebbe Melech looks at the soup, and Mendel Rivenover is right there. And Rebbe Melech looks at the soup. He takes the bowl, spills it on the floor. Okay, it's a bit strange to do. And as the Rebbe Melech spills on the floor, right after that, so Mendel Rivenover jumps up and he says, "Rebbe, we're going to go to jail. You can't do that. We're going to go to jail." And the Rebbe Melech says, "No, don't worry, we're here." That was the conversation. So all of it doesn't make any sense. What's he doing spilling the soup? Why are we going to jail? What's the response? We're here. What's going on? So after everything calmed down, so the Chassidim went over to Mendel Rivenover to figure out what just happened. And so this was the Maisa. In those days, the town, the shtetl that Yidden lived in, were controlled and to a certain degree even owned by the parts. He was the landowner of that entire district. And for the most part, the parts can do what he wants. And, usually that created SARS. But there were even certain things that even the parts can't do, and the parts would have to get permission or, go to his higher-ups, to the prince or the king of the entire country. And so the Maisa was that the parts that owned that shtetl that the Rebbe Melech was a part of, was a big anti-Semite. And he was always looking for excuses to get rid of the Yidden. Mamish to expel them from the entire district. But to expel the Yidden altogether, that was above his pay grade. He wasn't able to do that. And what he would have to do is to submit an official complaint against the Jewish people to his higher-ups. And then, God forbid, his plan would be fulfilled, that they would expel the Yidden from that district. But in order for that claim to be made, it had to be like in an official way with proper documentation and proper paperwork in order to submit this complaint against the Jewish people. So the story was that mamish that Friday night, the parts, while the Rebbe Melech was sitting by his tish, the parts was sitting in his office with his desk, with an official paper in front of him, with a quill of ink, with a reservoir of ink with a quill, and he's about to fill out this paperwork to file his official complaint against the Jewish people and to submit it to his higher-ups, and that would ultimately result, in all the Yidden of that area being expelled, which is a terrible thing. Now, it happens to be that Paretz, his personality was, he was extremely superstitious, very superstitious. And it happens to be that the Rebbe Melech knew that if at that moment, while he's filling out the paperwork, something happened that to the Paretz's mind was a bad omen, a bad sign, then he would stop the whole thing. So what the Rebbe Melech was doing is that he's by his dish. He's sitting with all the chassidim, and they're up to chicken soup. But that's where his body is. Where his mind is, and where his consciousness is in the office with the parts. And when the Rebbe Melech picked up the soup and poured it on the floor, what he was doing also was picking up that quill of ink and spilling it over the paperwork of the parts. And at that moment, when he spilled the soup, the reservoir of ink spilled over onto all the papers. And the parts saw that as a bad sign, as a bad omen, and so he quit the whole plan. Now, Mendel Rivenover, his consciousness was also in the parts' office. He was on the same wavelength as the Rebbe Melech. But the Mendel Rivenover was so there that he mamish thought that's mamish where they were. And so when he sees Rebbe Melech spilling the ink, he says, "Rebbe, we're going to go to prison for such a thing. You can't, you're going to get in such trouble. You just spilled the ink on the parts' desk." So the Rebbe Melech said to Rebbe Mendel, no, we're here. We're here. In other words, our consciousness is there. We're being poiled over there. But physically we're here. No one sees us over there. This is a mystery. So you see such an Indian where the Rebbe Melech, the Tzadikim are operating different things. But you see, but what's amazing about the story is that you see the different madregas of Tzadikim. because Rav Mendel Rebenover was a great tzaddik in his own right. He was completely in the metaphysical world, and he couldn't identify any part of himself still where it is in the physical world. The Rebbe Melech was so great that at the same time he can recognize that spiritually he's in one place, but he's also cognizant of where his body is and his physical presence by the Tish amongst the Chassidim. And the greatest of Rebbe Melech is that he was literally able to be in two places at once. His consciousness is one place and his body is in the other, and he was able to recognize that and to sort of come to terms with that split of being in one place spiritually and another place physically. And this is ultimately the greatest secret, one of the greatest secrets of the Tzadikim, of being able to be in two places. Not necessarily in this metaphysical, way of spilling ink in one place by spilling chicken soup in another, but the ability of being in two places at once, of being able to identify, being involved with physical things, being involved with people, and at the same time being fully there, but at the same time being fully elsewhere, as well. And that's a big avodah. That's a big avodah. That's what the tzaddikim are about. Hashem should bless us, Taka. We should be zeichet to be makasher ourselves to the tzaddikim like that, and recognize that on some level, all of us are in multiple places at once. Our bodies are here, and there's a part of our neshamas that's here, but at the same time, there's a part of the neshama that's by the kisei hakavod, that's by the Rebbeinu Shalom, that's in a very deep place. And the more we could recognize Amich Kulum Tzadikim, that we're all on some level are in multi places, it'll give us a better appreciation and a deeper understanding of who we are. And with that, we'll be zeichet to all the brachas in the world. So we should be zeichet to a good week, a vach full of bracha and hatzlach and siyat d'shmaya, b'yis kol tzedek, meher v'meinu amen.